Hey everyone, Adrian from adrianearnshaw.com here, and today we are going to recreate this sound and bass riff. Yes, this is the recognisable bass sequence from Lady Gaga's Pokerface. Track might be 13 years old, but it's still a good one. This is the bit that sort of like comes in just after the lighter synth at the beginning, so you get sort of like one pass of that sequence and then this bass line kicks in. So if you just listen to the original track, you'll hear like a little high sort of melodic synth line and then this, and that kicks in and pretty much plays straight throughout the track. It's quite a simple patch, but there's a few little tricks as we go along that you may find interesting. So although I'm using Omnisphere, this patch will translate perfectly well to any other 3 oscillator synth. But before we go into this sort of sound designy thing, quick shout out to say that in my last video, around 50% of you were regular visitors, but haven't yet subscribed to the channel. So, I would really appreciate if you just smack that subscribe button, as it does help the YouTube algorithm out. So enough of that, let's start from an initial patch. So just go up to the utility and press initialize patch. Where we go? Initialize patch, there we go. And that resets absolutely everything that you on Omnisphere. As I said before, this particular sound requires 3 oscillators. So in Omnisphere terms, it's 3 layers that we need. So we can enable all 3 by either clicking on these buttons at the bottom here, or by clicking on these little things underneath the letters here. Either one will do, and that's absolutely fine. So the first thing to do is tune the layers, and the first one we need to go to -24, and then we need to change the second and third to -12. Layer C always defaults to -12 anyway as an initial patch. So the other thing we need to introduce is like a chorusing effect, but without actually adding any chorus effect. Sounds double Dutch, but you'll understand what I mean in a minute. Because what we're going to do is, for layer B, I'm going to turn this to +10 cents. And I'm going to lower this by 10 cents. So now we'll have a chorus effect. So that's the basic housekeeping set. And what we need to do now is set up the correct waveforms, because at the moment they're the wrong waveforms that we need for this type of sound. So for layer A, I need a square wave. So the best one I come across for this particular sound is classic waveform square, and I want a mini brute square. That's layer A. For layer B, I need a sawtooth, and it's already set for Moog, whichever one you call it, modular saw. I'm not going to get into that debate before anybody starts it. That's under classic waveform sawtooth, and there we go, Moog modular. And for layer C, we need a PWM sound. So the one I'm going to select is classic waveforms pulse. I should have really muted my mail app there, but not to worry, that's a mail coming in. So we need to go to pulse and mini Moog pulse wide. I want. So I'm just going to mute these 2 channels here now, because I want to work on layer C quite a bit here. So what I want to do, I want to add a bit of shape and movement to this PWM. So the best way to do that, you see, if I move this shape, you can see it moving now. And the best way to do sort of add a little bit of movement is right click on the slider, select modulate, modulate with LFO. And straight away we get a bit of a movement on the sound. But it's the wrong type of movement. What I want to do is I want to change this to a triangle. Yep, triangle. There we go. And I also want to change the rate knob to around about 2 Hertz. So I want it to move quite quickly. Now, if you see, I'm struggling to get exactly 2 Hertz. And the quick way of sort of like getting increments is holding the Shift key on your keyboard and then moving the dial. And we will get to 2 Hertz. And because it goes up increments of 0.01 then, and we get this. So we've got a nice little movement on that. Whilst we're in layer C, I need to play around with the filter section here. So what I'm going to do is change this to a low pass warm 24. That's about, there we go. And by selecting a different waveform, the filter section automatically engages. So there's no need to press that button. You just need to select a filter and off it'll turn itself on then. So what I want to do now is I want to open the cutoff to the maximum. And I want a little resonance, about 0.150 will do it. There we go. That's lovely. Now for layer B and A, we don't need any filters enabled whatsoever. And we get this sound at the moment. So it's nice, big, deep and fat. Now what we need to do is zip over now to the amp envelope section, because that's the only one that we're actually interested in for this patch. So we need to set both the attack and decay to 0. And we need to make sure that your sustain is fully opened. And set the release to around about 0.173 seconds. And I need to apply this filter, well, not the filter, the envelope to all layers. And the easiest way of doing this is to just click on the down arrow where it says copy envelope preset, press that, go to layer B, click on the down arrow, paste envelope preset. And let's do the same for layer C. So we now get a thicker sound now. Now I want this to be ultra thick, this sound. Not thick as in stupid, like sort of like the user here that keeps on waffling on, but the sound itself, I want it to sort of really jump out at you. And the easiest way of doing that is by enabling the Unison on each layer. So I'm going to select Unison, make sure my spread is all the way up, and I'm going to set the depth to 0.458-ish. It doesn't have to be exact science, but I can get that perfect. Brilliant. So I'm going to do exactly the same. That layer. And I'm going to do exactly the same. That layer. That's nice and fat, that now. It really is. Just need to turn that on. Let's try that again. You get a little squelchy sound from layer C, from the PWM part of it, which is really what I'm after. So for the final touch, we need to go to, well, almost the final touch. We need to change the voices to 4. And we need to put on solo. And I think, yeah, we're almost there now. But we can actually sort of make it a little bit better than this. And to do that, we need to go into the sequence section and just click on the ARP, open the sequence, well, not open the sequence, engage the sequence section, set your clock to 8th notes, because the whole riff is actually in 8th notes. So that's quavers in the Western sort of English European world. 8th notes if you're over on the pond in the American Canadian side. And make sure your clock is set at 120 beats, which is down here. So if you set 120 beats, 8th notes, legato, 1 octave. So you'll be there. Now, I've looked at the notation, and to me, the track seems to be in A flat minor. horrible key to actually play anything in. It's a bit of a mind bender, especially when then you have to go and play something in, say, G major, whereas one sharp, A flat major, has gazillion sharps to play with, so gazillion flats. So you can go from gazillion flats to one sharp, your brain just does an absolute flip. But there we go. Anyway, as I said, the track appears to be in A flat minor, so the pattern you need to set is a 16-step pattern. And in actual fact, what I'm going to do, first of all, is I want to start from scratch. So I want to say blank. I want to start from scratch. So that's it. Brilliant. And I want to engage every single layer. And just bring these up. Not to be exact science, but I don't want them all on max. There we go. What we need to do is we need to have the first 2 steps at pitch, and then we need to drop the next 2 steps a whole octave. That's -12. And then the next 2 steps need to drop down 5 semitones. And the next, I need to drop down a whole octave again. So getting there. The next 2 steps are going to be at pitch. And so we don't need to change anything here. So the next step after that is down 5 semitones, if I recall. And then the next one is 9 semitones. Next 2 are down 2 semitones. And the final 2 I'll set at -14, so that's an octave and 2 semitones. So after doing that, if I play A flat, that's the A flat just below middle C, you will get this. So that sounds an absolute horrible mess, and that's because the notes are far too long. Now to fix that, we just need to change the length to 0.355. Move that, there we go. And I also noticed that when I initialize the patch, initialize the sequencer here, it automatically defaults to 16th notes. I want that on 8th notes. I also want to just tame down layer A a bit, because I want a bit of the square, but not overtly too much. I'll be about right. Now, when I press A flat on the keyboard, that's the A flat just below middle C, just below, yes, just below middle C, you get this. So there we have it, the bass sequence from Lady Gaga's Pokerface within Omnisphere. If you enjoy this little sound design video, please do give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.